Welcome back to our third segment for our March show here on Conversations with Archbishop Kurtz. Again, we're very grateful to Dr. Sangali for hosting us here at St. X in the library as we're on the road. Now, we find ourselves, Archbishop, in the middle of Lent now. Important holy time of the year, of course. Sure but you know, Lent comes around and obviously so many rituals, so many things happen, beginning with Ash Wednesday and leading up to Easter. But my favorite of all the celebrations is the Chrism Mass, and I haven't missed one for 25 years.
Oh, wow.
Because I find the ritual, the signs and symbols, some of the affective things, the smells, the sights, the sounds of that ceremony. So having a segment here talking about the Chrism Mass is a fun thing for me to do with you.
It's super, and thanks, Brian. And what's very nice, here we are in March, and it'll be the last day of March.
Yeah, this year, March 31st this year.
You know, the Chrism Mass, and people might want to understand this, is very much connected with the sacred Triduum. And you know, the Triduum, meaning 3 days, is that part, that most holy part of the whole church year, which begins with the night before Jesus died, the Last Supper, which would be on Holy Thursday night, and ends with Easter Sunday. And originally, I think the Chrism Mass was actually part of that. It was in the mid-50s, 1955, I think, that the Chrism Mass was moved a little earlier to, at that time, it was the beginning, was Thursday morning, Holy Thursday morning. And then, as we're doing here with Tuesday night, many dioceses, because you wanted to have the opportunity for the priests and faithful of all parishes to come to the cathedral, as we do, we have a great tradition here, it moved to Tuesday. And as you said, one of the highlights, there's two, but one of the highlights is certainly the blessing of the oils that will be used throughout the coming year.
Yeah, we could talk about the oils next. In fact, we have the three oils here. I always think about a couple things. Obviously, the ritual where you, as the bishop, bless the oils. But I love the symbol that at the close of the liturgy, the oils get distributed then and sent out to all the parishes. Some happens in the ritual, but I know what happens behind the scenes. Immediately, everyone needs to get them back for their Easter vigils, so immediately all the priests who are there are gathering them up, and staff is trying to figure out how do we get them to all 111 parishes. So take a few minutes, walk us through the oils.
Sure, well let me begin by the oil of chrism,
okay,
because people will notice chrism and Christ, except for the M and the T, that's the same word, and it means the anointed one. So the chrismatic oil is the oil that will be used throughout the year to bring the presence of Jesus, in his healing presence, in his consecrating presence to people. Just think, Brian, that throughout the coming year, every time a baby is baptized, it's with chrism that the crown of their head is anointed. When I confirm, it's the forehead with chrism. I'll be ordaining priests, it'll be their hands. When I was a bishop, it was on the top of my head that I received it. And what is also very interesting, when we have a newly consecrated church, the altar, such a symbol of Christ, and the walls are anointed with this chrism. In a sense, just as the Triduum doesn't just have us relive those special final days in the life of Jesus, in his death and resurrection, but actually we participate in how Jesus, in a sense, is dying within us, and with us he helps us rise from sin and selfishness. So we're celebrating what's happening now, not just what happened 2,000 years ago.
And maybe it's so obvious, but you bless the oil, and that oil is used across the diocese for a year. It's just an amazing symbol.
It is. And just think, for example, I mentioned the oil of catechumen, and that is for those who are being instructed, catechesis, in preparation. It is connected with exorcism. The notion that the power, Jesus himself in the Gospels talks about the power of the evil one, that we need darkness and sin removed from our life so that we can receive the light of Christ. And this is an anointing that occurs before, at the very beginning, before the baptism actually takes place. And then the oil of the sick, of course, we're all familiar with the fact that the anointing of the sick is that beautiful sacrament that comes often in the midst of suffering within the church. And not only does the priest go individually to the hospital or to a home, but we now have Mass in which people come along with their families for an anointing at the time of suffering and illness. So it's I mean, I don't know if there's a better time to be with people than when they experience and help each other in the midst of the sufferings of this life.
I know that not every Catholic gets a chance to think through and see this, and that in a lifespan, you're likely anointed with all three at some point. And that's another symbol of the three persons in one God, the 3 days of the Triduum. What a wonderful symbol it has. So.
It really is. And I especially like what you were saying about the fact that if people can almost imagine, there's a perfume called balsam. And of course, I'm blessing it, so I can smell that. Yeah. But actually, people, when they're being confirmed, can smell it. It's like the aroma is spread, in a sense, the fragrance is spread throughout the whole 24 counties of the Archdiocese for that whole year.
Maybe I can't, but I can imagine being at the cathedral and I smell it. Okay.
No, I think you're right.
Besides the oil, now the other beautiful symbol, many people come to this, and we have great crowds who come here, and it's a prayerful experience for all, but there's a particular part of the ritual for priests.
Yeah.
And talk about that with us.
Yeah. Well, as you know, all of us on Easter morning, because of our baptism, renew our baptismal promises. Well, the priests, anticipating Holy Thursday evening, when Jesus not only at the Last Supper instituted the sacrament, but he also instituted the sacrament not only of the Eucharist, but also of Holy Orders. And so this is a profoundly special time in which priests who are ordained 1 year and some ordained 60 years come together as one, and the bishop receives their renewal of their promises. Brian, I can remember how much I was eager to go to, and how moving the Chrism Masses were when I'd have a chance, along with my brother priest, to renew our promises before the bishop. And it brought back all the memories of being called to the priesthood and going through formation and lying on the floor, having people pray before you're ordained. So it's a very moving event.
It surprised me when it first happened, but I see it every year. Some priests and some people to their priests, after the Mass, congratulate them as if that was their anniversary of ordination.
How about that?
They say, congratulations.
Well, in many ways it is, isn't it? That's a very good point. And I have to say, when I became a bishop, bishop, as you know, is to be both a brother and a father to the priests. It's very humbling for me to receive. I wasn't ready for that experience, I'll be honest with you. When I first became a bishop, I always loved renewing my vows or my promises, but now I had the opportunity to receive them, and it's very humbling to see these wonderful priests, you know, who've given their lives and continue to give their lives, to be able to witness and receive the goodness. And you can see tears in people in priests' eyes as they renew their promises.
You anticipate, that was my wondering question. I wanted to know, as a bishop, having done it both in Knoxville and now in Louisville for these 8 years, that experience of presiding at the Chrism Mass, is that a highlight for a bishop?
It really is. It really is, Brian. And I'll tell you, it becomes very emotional because after I receive the promises, then I turn to the people.
Yeah.
And I say, please pray for me.
Yeah.
And I'm reminded of how Pope Francis said, you know, I'm a sinner, pray for me. And that is something that I think is not only correct, but it's also emotionally, it's what we need. A bishop and priest, we need support from the community in order for us to fulfill the vocation of service.
Thanks, Archbishop, for teaching us about the Chrism Mass, the oils, priesthood, but also about you serving in that role as our bishop. It's a great images.
Thanks,
and I want to testify for all of you who have the opportunity. It's open to the faithful. Join us if you're here in Louisville or our Archdiocese or surrounding area on March 31st to come to the Chrism Mass that evening. So moving service of our faith, of being Catholic, of praying together. Thanks for being with us for this edition, the March show of Conversations with Archbishop Kurtz. Tune in next month in April. We'll be back for our final show of this year. Thanks very much.